It's recording. Okay, can you introduce yourself, Derek?
Hi, I'm Derek Fox. I'm 30 years old, and I'm a traveling chef and a hired musician.
And my name is Stephen Lee, and I'm old enough to do it well, but still young enough to do it often.
What do you do?
And what do I do? Well, I do a lot of everything. I grow food, I cook food, I eat food. Basically, my life revolves around food. That's it. Simple, sweet.
Okay, so I met you guys when we did season 6 of MasterChef. Can you guys tell me a little bit, Derek, we'll start with you. What is your background and how the heck did you end up on MasterChef?
So my background is a musician. I've been playing drums professionally since I was about 18. Traveled the country doing it, and I was actually in a really good pop band playing the Kiss FM circuit, and who is now my wife, my girlfriend at the time, was like, hey, you should try out for MasterChef. And I did, and I made it on the show, and that's where I met Steven. And when I met Steven and the rest of the people competing on this show met Steven, we were terrified, to say the least. Just the crazy, man. I mean, if you can imagine, like, Breaking Bad coming to life, like Heisenberg as an actual human being, I'm sitting next to him, and it was frightening, but like in those kind of moments in life, I walked towards that challenge, and I was like, this guy, he's not here for any other reason than the same reason I am, and that's to cook food and win. And so right there, I knew there was a common interest, and I could break down that wall and become his friend, or beat him, or maybe I'll lose him. So we met on MasterChef.
But tell me a little bit more about your experience on MasterChef. You started just as a home cook. What did you like? Did you learn? Do you feel like it is what, not just the notoriety, but what you learned there as a cook catapulted you into being?
So the premise of MasterChef is you have to be a home cook to compete, and I've always loved the artistic side of food and what you can do with it and how people respond to it. So that was kind of like my drive to go on the show. Is I've watched seasons before. I'm like, at home, I'm doing better stuff than what these people are doing. So I have a good shot at this. And then upon getting there, like, to have endless amounts of ingredients to choose from, your imagination goes wild, and the avenues and the ideas that creates under pressure. And like, the pressure is like the scary part, but I mean, also where you really find yourself and where you really learn what you can do. And so, I mean, week after week, I pushed the boundaries of what I knew I could do and tried to push myself further, and ended up all the way to the end.
And what happened?
I became runner-up. I'm the big loser. Second place. It was fine. I didn't get turned into the villain. I showed week after week that I belonged there, and that my food belongs in this world, and that I didn't get the paycheck in the cookbook and the title, but I did get a career, and since I've been traveling the world cooking and making money, so and not working a 9 to 5, like on my terms when I want to do it. So it's been great. I wouldn't change anything.
Steven, tell me about. Oh, go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
I'll change one thing, but we'll come back to it.
Okay. Try and remember it. Steven, What about you? So how tell me about your background and then how you ended up on MasterChef.
My background, okay.
Like
my background, I'm what you would call, I'm like a gypsy lover. So I traveled a lot when I was a kid. I don't have one family. I lived with multiple throughout my whole life, so I just moved around a lot, right? I've been a sheep herder. I've been a beekeeper. I've done sustainable agriculture. Farmer up in Washington, Pie Place Market there, sold stuff out of there. Of course, all the farming, all the growing of the food. We grew also. I grew the herbs for the medicinal salves, because when I was tending bees, we'd take the stuff and make medicinal salves. The company's still going on today. It's called Moon Valley Organics. I think that's what it's called now. And so that's a piece of my life right there. I was born here in Southern California and went up and down the coast a lot, and that's that. Now, Master Chef, was...
Wait, you didn't talk about cooking. You talked about growing, but what about the cooking part?
So, I do a lot of... I've always done a lot of cooking. Whenever I would travel to a new city, I would need a job.
Yeah.
So I'd go into the kitchen. Because you could just knock on the back door in the alley. Somebody would open the door, say, hey, can I wash some dishes or something? And they say, yeah, all right. And so you go in, wash the dishes, get some food, and then be on your way. So I did that for a while when I was a kid, and started learning how to cook. I also did a lot of cooking on the farm. I was basically the farm cook, for everybody, and did a lot of that. Worked my way up, in kitchens, just prep cooks and stuff like that. And that gave me, gave me a bed at night, basically. It paid my rent, stuff like that, Got me to the next place, which was good. Which was good enough for me at the time.
But do you love cooking?
I love cooking. Yeah, me and cooking are, goes around my spine. It's like it's sewn into the fabric of my being, stuff like that, right? Like if I didn't know how to cook, I would be probably that guy on the side of the freeway hanging out of his mouth, What would I do without it? That's actually the only place where I find, and the garden, is these places where I find that sweet spot. It's like this sweet spot, this place in life where stand still. It's just time slows down or speeds up, however you look at it, and there's nothing else around. It's that guy, the now guy, You're just living now. So food does that for me, right? Cooking does that for me because it's keeping me very organized, very regimented, and so on and so on. So as far as food and cooking, it's inescapable for me.
Okay, and so tell me about MasterChef. How did you end up this kind of crazy guy going up? Not crazy, but you know what I mean, an interesting life. How'd you end up there?
Well, it started out as a lesson. I made a bet with my son, basically, because he'd gotten part in a movie called Diamonds in the Desert. And he got this part, the leading role, right? He was pretty happy. I was stoked for him. But then, like, a couple days later, he just thought, man, he's like the cat's meow, right? He's just, like, on top of it. He was better than everybody else. And so I said, hey, dude, we're all the same. And he goes, well, you'll never be on TV, Dad. And I was just like, all right, well, give me 6 months. If I'm not on TV, then we made our bet. Then you get $100, and that's that. If I don't make it, well, and then I went on Craigslist came across that ad for San Diego for the tryouts. I didn't know it was MasterChef until I got to San Diego. I tried out, they got me through, and then I got on TV. And then it just wouldn't fucking stop after that. It was just like, oh my God. And it was so much fun. It was fun, and it was just like insanity. It was like the biggest social experiment I've ever been involved in. Not this one excluded that we're living in right now, of course. but it was like I couldn't. It was like I was a heroin addict or something. I just kept coming back for more abuse, more abuse, more abuse. I couldn't get enough abuse. And I got stuck on that cycle, and then finally they kicked me out at the end. And I went out with my tail between my legs, crying in the desert and stuff like that. But wow. That was insane. It was like an intense thing that I did in my life.
I'd do it again.
Yeah.
I can't, but I would.
Yeah. I don't know.
Tell me about your guys' relationship. You were You came in third. Can you just say I came in third?
I came in third, and Derek came in second. So there's a bit of there's some antagonism. There's like I like to say playful antagonism. You know, I'm a sarcastic person by nature, and I'm a little bit on like the grumpy side. I'm not like a bubbly with personality and ooh, I love you and my chakras are aligned and all that stuff. I like to get dirty. I like to get real dirty.
He does, and like I'm just a competitor. It's like when I have my eye on and like honestly, MasterChef was the first thing that I didn't win. Like all growing up, any challenge I got put into, any sports team I was on, we always went to the fucking championship, and it was like in baseball, it was me stealing home to win the game. It was me turning the double play to win the game. I mean, at the skate park, it was me doing the biggest trick to win the trophy. Like, I had never come in second in my life. So I guess that was like the humbling experience that MasterChef was giving me. But also at the same time, when I got into it, I kept telling myself, just make it to the finale, because I knew if I made it to the finale, I would win. But that's where I messed up, But showing up, my one goal was make it to the finale. I can win this thing. And then I met Steven, and I'm like, this guy he's a Martian. He's not from this planet. He's now the one to beat, just because you could just see it in his energy. He wore knee pads every day, and all I'm thinking. But so I broke him down.
That's so funny. No one could understand how you do that.
But like he's doing it because he's like, yo, all these kids are younger than me, and all we're thinking is, damn, he thought of something we didn't, and but like there was, you could tell he didn't want to be there to be.
What were the knee pads for?
Because I was when I left the kitchen, the where they keep all the utensils and you have to go get it, and then you come back to your station. Well, I'd get that stuff, and I'd run it, and then I would just slide into – because there's always that damn photographer, that guy with the video camera in my fucking way. So I'd run, and I'd slide right into his face like that and get him to back up out of my station, And so that was one of the times I slid, was for that reason. There's different reasons.
A lot of times you were just dropping to the floor to open the oven, like the drama queen you are.
Yeah. Well, I would hide behind the stove too sometimes. Yeah, I did all kinds of crazy things. I do all kinds. But
you just
yell, screaming. Yeah. Well, I do that a lot.
Yeah. But I think what happened is there was just this natural competition that developed between Steven and I, just because we both had a different idea of how to get to the same place, and both those ideas were very intimidating to everybody else. I was very artistic, a ton of finesse, and was not scared to take on Steven as a challenge, or at least I didn't show it. And Steven was methodical and layered in flavor and technique that only comes from just years of experience that none of us had, So I think those two things are also why, and this is what I was getting to, why we should have been in the finale together. I think the world really wanted to see us together, and I don't know. I think maybe MasterChef was like, if we put these two in the finale, no one's ever going to watch our show again because there's not going to be anything better to watch. I don't know. That's just me, maybe.
So just talk a teeny bit about your, go ahead, Steven. You have more to say? Oh, I was going to say, talk a little bit about your relationship on the show from your perspective. Like, was Derrick, did you guys become friends? What's continued to be your relationship? What have you guys done together since?
So, what do you mean, gone on a date or something?
Yeah, I want to know first base, second base. No, I mean, what? So tell me a little bit about your relationship on the show. What?
We have no relationship. Okay, we have a relationship. No, I'm just playing.
Is it a bad word? You don't want me to use the word relationship?
Yeah, so, what is the dynamic between Derrick and myself? Okay, and how do I engage with that throughout my life and that sort of thing? Yeah, of course. Now, Derrick, people are people, you know.
Yeah.
And although I like Derrick, I fucking hate him too. Like, so we have some things in common, and then some of the things we're completely on the opposite spectrum, right? So there's like he does things that drive me fucking crazy, right? Like completely input. And so, right? Exactly that, right? So I know that happens, right? When I start to control my environment, I will be able to produce an action from my beloved friend with certain things that I do, right? And that's part of our dynamic. Do you understand anything I'm saying?
I do to a certain extent. I think that you see yourself as sort of in control of everything you're doing in your life. Yeah. And whatever you decide to do is how he'll react one way or another. That's kind of what you're saying.
You can control my action, but that's what he doesn't like about me is I'm a free thinking person too.
2 + 2 doesn't come up to 4.
With him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you feel like you have dominion over most people, but not Derrick?
I wouldn't, dominion, sure, in a certain way if I choose to play that game. Now, I'm talking to you in regards to our persona through the television, through the screen, because our persona in competition on film is one of kind of friendly sarcasm and a brotherly love, like an older brother or a middle brother or a younger brother. The bigger brother likes to pick on the little brother, but he also loves him and wants to nurture him and see him be the best that he can be. But he's only going to be the best he can be if you can kick him in the kick him in the or whatever. That's not a good analogy. I would never do anything. Or if you can only whatever, make him uncomfortable. If you can create a level of discomfort within him and watch him rise above that or walk through that and become stronger because of that, then he becomes a better chef, a better person, a better whatever. Okay? That's the ultimate goal, right? People don't know that's the ultimate goal with me. People generally only see the sarcasm and this and that.
Yeah.
But there's like I'm layered, right? I'm layered.
So so this is what you bring for Derrick or give to Derrick. What does Derrick, what is your, what do you give to him? From MasterChef, I remember Derrick was his plates were super artistically laid out. I think they were also really tasty.
Yeah.
So Derrick, how do you influence Steven?
I think with Steven, I'm a reminder to him that even though I may not have walked in the same shoes or traveled as far as he's traveled, there's still something to learn from other people, and you can just learn it in a way that you're not expecting, and I think that Steven does put off a very intimidating vibe for a lot of people, but I think it's funny. I find the humor in his peacocking, if you will.
Yeah.
And that fascinates me. Yeah. So I don't really I couldn't write a log line for our dynamic. I think it's something that's very organic and is constantly changing, very, very, very non-linear. We are so unpredictable. It's like the first hurricane predictions when a hurricane develops. Like, you don't really know where it's
I
going.
mean, I had goosebumps earlier when you were talking, but you lost me at the tornado. Hurricane, sorry. Oh, did I do that?
You guys, you guys are like comfortable being uncomfortable with each other.
Yeah, and I think that's something we have in common that's not like what people are supposed to have in common.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
a good point. Yeah.
Who wants to sit next to somebody and be uncomfortable? Not a lot of people. But like Steven and I are kind of okay with that. And I think that's why we like still kind of come together. If you didn't live in fucking Palm Springs, or if I didn't live in Marina Del Rey, we probably would have like filmed some shit already. But
have you guys done any pop-ups together, or done any sort of other, just kind of remained friends or frenemies or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I've hit him up for some advice here and there.
That's right.
His response was the advice, and then you're fucked. So it's like that didn't get me very far. But yeah, I mean, we've always wanted to work together, and in the beginning, we both got really busy, you know, and I mean, when you're on a program for 22 weeks on Fox, like, the phone doesn't stop ringing, and we just like we couldn't organize it to get it together. Now it's calmed down a little bit. I mean, we're both still busy, but it's manageable, and I think now it's also a perfect time. We're not in contracts with anybody. Like, we can actually make something happen.
So what that leads me to, the comfortable being uncomfortable with each other and probably with other people, leads me to the idea for this show. So tell me the name of the show, and then sort of, if you guys want to describe some ideas we have about it. We don't have it nailed down, but let's talk about it a little.
Sure. So, right out the gate, like, Steven and I kind of got pegged as like the Breaking Bad of MasterChef, based on how we look, and also our dynamic together. It was very much Walter White and Jesse in the show, and that was completely organic. Like, we weren't trying for that, but we started getting a lot of comments about it, and we were like, okay, let's run with this. And we kind of we shot a trailer that was very vague, but the idea was called Breaking Bread to just play off the name. But then it's kind of like we've kind of evolved with the idea, and it's kind of resurfaced because there's this social climate right now that we need to break bread with other people and learn about them, and we need to get uncomfortable before we can learn. And I think that there's something there. And Steven's on a farm. He's where life grows, vegetables, herbs, and he's sustainable. And that's like, I don't understand that completely. I mean, I know there's people out there like him, and that's part of how the world goes around. But then there's also people like me that can go out and sell that farm, so the world can continue to go around. And there's everyone in between and outside and around. And I think Steven having that farm and that food truck and that opportunity for us to show life and growth, but also my willingness and my charisma to take that growth to people that.
Well, when we were in a meeting, you were talking about the whole like ally kind of thing. So can you talk about that a little bit? Wait, let me get my cord because my computer's gonna die. Hold on one second. Okay. You need to plug in too. Okay. All right. Okay, so we just kind of explain this idea from the beginning to people who have no idea. So, you were talking about like you're a white person who's always felt like an ally, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Trigger Warning by Killer Mike, and I was kind of like, wow, like, he's trying to break down barriers within his own community and the black community and show everyone else. And he used the word ally, and that really stuck with me. Like, I've always felt like an ally without putting a label on it, but I've never really considered like how people feel about me when I walk in the room or when I'm doing something?
Can you say me being a white male?
Me, I wonder how people feel when I walk in the room being a white male in a group of different races. I mean, I've been in those situations, and there's times that it feels uncomfortable or very judgy, and there's other times where it's like the only reason it feels this way is because of other people's perceptions, not my perception. My perception is we can all hang out, So I think that's where we're starting to get to, because the nation is completely uncomfortable right now, and I think we can do something with food, and I think food on the table is the only way we can tear down those walls and break bread together. So
tell me a little bit about how I saw you kind of reacting to him talking about being an ally and going into other communities. What does that make you feel like, or what are your ideas about it, Stephen?
Yeah, okay. Well, I was visualizing going into the neighborhood and having people come up, and then, these guys over here are getting in a fight, these people over here are screaming, I was just visualizing that, and I was just like, oh my God. And so I'm an imaginative person, and I can, live it. Anyhow, okay, well, so that's that, and how I feel about that is, it's very, it makes me very uncomfortable, right? But I'm confident in my ability as, a chef, that I know, because, that's how I keep my wife around, right? So I would be able to kind of calm the people a little bit. Now, and it's the symbolism or the analogy is working. It expands from us, right? This idea of breaking bread. I have some idea of what that means, but it's starting with us, because he's the city mouse and I'm the country mouse. He's gonna take me to his hood, over here, and pop up in Koreatown, whatever, right? And then I'm gonna take him to paradise, with my farms, or out in the country cooking on my wood stoves. Visualize that. The idea, the country, the fire, running water, river, beautiful scenery, and then we go switch to his neighborhood, the city, concrete, buildings, it's very different, right? I admit I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I do understand that, sorry, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm moving the thing. I'm just like, what? That the contrasts are extremely important when you're trying to have a message, but not a message in your face. It's kind of a subtle message. So this is the message being transferred to the other person will work on the subconscious. It's not in your, or it can work in your face. However he fucking wants to do it. I don't care. But I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna cook you good food, right? I'm gonna bring you to the farm. You're gonna work. Right. You're gonna get dirty. But listen, you don't have to talk fucking philosophy. Just get dirty and do it. That's right. What I'm in. That's what you're in. That's what everyone needs to approach life as. Just get dirty and do it. But the problem is there are people that if they saw you and I cooking together, they would not eat our food. What are you talking about? You remember what we did together? I just watched that thing we did, MasterChef, that tag team challenge. Yeah. Dude, that was insane. It was insane. But what I'm saying is we'll take Killer Mike, for instance. If Killer Mike saw you and I cooking at a food truck, he would not come eat our food. Why? Because we're white? Because we're white. And the way we look. I say you're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I know you're wrong. I know that Killer Mike, I don't know who Killer Mike is. Killer Mike probably. First of all, anybody named Killer Mike, you do not want him coming to the food truck. Why would I want him anywhere around me? Why would you want Killer Mike? That's not his real name. That's not his real name? Oh, okay. But anyway, Killer Mike would love. I think he would. It might take some encouraging, maybe some encouragement.
Exactly. But
I was married to an Ethiopian girl. She's beautiful and black. We'll bring her. She can talk to him first.
I dated a black girl, and I remember.
Good for you.
I remember one day going to the bar, and she's like, "We're not getting service because I'm black," and I'm like, "No, we're not getting service because there's one bartender and there's 15 people at this bar, and she's in the weeds at the well." But she's not thinking about how a bar runs.
Yeah.
She's just saying, "We're not getting service because I'm black," and it's like, no, that's not why.
Well, yeah, those concepts and ideas are handed down by your parents or your teachers. There's actually aren't her own. That's not her own concept.
Right. So how do we get people to think for themselves?
Well, you have to deprogram them.
Wait, so I'm sorry, guys. Talk a little bit about the central idea of the show. So I have a food truck. Then tell me about the food truck. The idea of the show is to take the food truck into different neighborhoods and sort of cook for people and meet people and create some kind of community with all different kinds of people breaking bread. You can tell me a little bit about the actual, what are we going to see in this show? I know it's not exact, but something.
For sure.
An idea for Breaking Bread would be Stephen and I getting on his food truck at the farm, taking life from the farm to communities, and extending that offer to develop communities, develop our relationship with other communities, and those communities' relationships with farms, with the premise that I'm the city mouse, he's the country mouse, and we can really see some change in communities through food, through breaking bread, with whatever challenges may come along the way. I mean, I don't see it being an easy task by any means. Stephen and I getting on a food truck together and going into other communities to try and cook and meet other people.
Yeah. Well, so good. That is a part of my perception. And the other aspect of that I would like to bring to attention would be the differences within, okay, and showing them in the physical surroundings of your world, of my world. And the truck itself is our vehicle that
The catalyst.
Yeah, that gives a perception of your world, gives a perception of my world. The truck, I have the pop-ups, of course. I have the wood stove, so I have fire. And I'm self-sufficient. I have solar panels on the top. I can give energy to all my kitchen machines and such, and when the truck is in the country, my domain, it will have a certain feel to it. That feel will come automatically because of what you're looking at. The birds are chirping, the bees are buzzing, the grass is growing. It's kind of a slower but more sustainable life, okay? That's what I believe. That's who I am, an urban farmer, okay? I'm the chef farmer. That's who I am. I'm very green. I'm very dirty. I'm very crass, sarcastic. This attitude of you know what? If you don't like it, well, see you later. You don't have to come. I don't care. I just don't care. But I really want you to come. I really want you to come, and I'm gonna do my damnedest to make sure you're here. And I'm gonna do everything possible to just wow you, just knock you off your feet, so you just fall in love with this idea. The farmer chef, right? And I'm doing it with the truck. And I'm already doing that. This isn't something new for me. It's something I've been doing my whole life. Now, Derrick brings another aspect of this to this idea. he brings the contrast. Okay, so Derrick has a very different lifestyle than I do, and he brings that, and he brings all those connections, and he brings that philosophy, and then how you present that idea will happen naturally because of the environment it's in. This is so genius. It's so fantastic. And I'm not saying I thought of it. It's not an original idea or anything. But my truck is a studio, right? And I've been working on this for a very long time. And it's coming now. I'm outfitting it, with everything I need. It's gonna have camp. It's gonna have everything. It's my life. This is my life, right?
I'm disrupting it.
Yeah, he's disrupting it, right? Yeah, because I like to solve problems. My whole brain is there because it just wants to solve a problem.
Does it make problems? Solve problems?
Absolutely, 100%. We all do that. That's why we get married, probably. For sure.
So I'm going to ask you guys just maybe one or two more little questions. One question is like through this experience, it seems like you guys feel like you have a lot to teach, but what do you have to learn through this experience?
Right. What do I have to learn?
And what do you want to learn? What do you want to learn?
What do I want to learn?
Yeah, what do you have to learn or what do you want to learn? And you can start, Derrick, if you want.
Yeah,
I am going to start because I feel like there's so much to learn, and I feel like one thing we'll learn is that, and I think we already know, is we never stop learning. But like right now, I'm at odds with my parents. I haven't talked to them for like 6 months. We are completely not getting along. We're completely not seeing eye to eye, and it has a lot to do with integrity and values. And I think somewhere along the way in life, at some dinner table somewhere, people are learning things that are not good, are not good values, are not good things to take out into the world, and they are just disrupting like where we could be. And I feel like Stephen is a very layered person, and he's made it this far being this crazy, where like there's some to learn from that. I feel like no matter where we'll go, the idea is to be a sponge, and I've kind of learned that a long time ago, and I think that's also why I did so well on MasterChef, because I wasn't talking back. I wasn't trying to prove my point. It's sometimes you have to have like that lion mentality, be quiet, shut up, listen until it's time to strike. This necessarily is not a time to strike at anything, but it's like maybe there's a time where someone will just put their foot in their mouth and be like, look, that's why we need to be this way as a human race. Like maybe we like, look, you feel this way about other people. Like the way my mom feels about Hispanics blows my mind, and like I can't even. I have tried so hard to show her or tell her, but maybe she needs to see it. Like she works in a hospital, and it's like, Mom, who do you think changes all the sheets in the hospital? Who do you think takes out all the trash? Who do you think cooks all the food? Like your hospital would not run, and she doesn't get it. She's like, oh, well, there's plenty of people that would do those jobs, and I'm like, so. Yes, there's a lot to teach, but like, what gets a person to think that way? Like, why does my mom think that way? I want to learn that, because that origin is a scary place.
Thank you. I know your mom. That makes me sad.
Yeah, it's been a rough.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so Stephen, what about you? What do you have to learn by, or want to learn by sort of being in community with people that you just feel uncomfortable around?
Right, yeah.
And you're exposing yourself as a white man.
Yeah. So there's that idea. But so I'm a purpose-driven individual. Like I live with purpose, right? That's why I don't just take a vacation. I'm like this. This is how I am. And that Derrick's lifestyle, his this idea, going into these communities and communicating with them, that I find impulsive, by nature. Because I just like being in my kitchen and cooking or in my garden and growing and stuff like that. That's a very important thing to learn because it wasn't until when the Dalai Lama was whatever from, not very many people were, they're not familiar with Tibet and the culture. But then since he was exiled, he had to start traveling around the world. So it just that whole idea became bigger and bigger and bigger. So and he was taken from his home. He was forced from his home and made to travel. Probably very uncomfortable for him. It's probably hurt his heart, right? It probably made him very sad. But him being who he is, he accepts life on life's terms, of course, and he just does the next indicated thing, right? And well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Sometimes I don't know what I want, but I know what's right, and I know what's good, and I know what I don't want. So as long as I keep doing what I don't, as long as I keep not doing what I don't want, is it okay to use two negatives in the same sentence like that?
Who knows? Maybe we should ask a teacher.
The idea would be what? As long as I'm not doing the things that harm me or other people, then I have more opportunity to do the things that help me and other people. Okay, there you go. All right? So that's my idea in life. That's how I live my life. Period. So Derrick, as unfortunate as it is that he's the one to be the one to express this to me, is being able to give me the gift of life. Okay, I know it sounds so savvy. No, okay, he's giving me ultimately is wisdom. Okay, but it's just giving me. I just have to go through it.
Because you're even saying it right now. Like you don't want to be uncomfortable in these situations because what you're doing works for you, makes you happy. But how you can.
But I will never learn. I will never get better.
Yeah,
I can't get better unless I'm uncomfortable in those situations. I have to be able to break that barrier within myself, within my mind, change that perception, get out there, and just fucking do it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once we just fucking do it, I'm sorry, am I allowed to say fuck on this? It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm not broadcasting it.
I'm just joking when I say those things. I'm being that's my sarcastic humor. I am just like on a whole different wavelength. Okay, so as long as we do the right thing, right things will happen. Of course, there's unforeseen difficulties and all that. I understand that. But I'm talking about the whole picture. I'm talking about the arch from here to there. And it's gradual and it's forever. It's gradual and it's forever. And it's in every direction, in every way that you can imagine.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing the right thing and being there's not always that hard line in the sand.
No, absolutely not. Because perception is a funny thing.
Well,
okay. And that's where this gets murky. Okay. And because we need to tell the story in a very specific way that people relate to.
Yeah.
Food is one of them. Okay. Contrast is another. It's very simple expressions. City mouse, country mouse. You can see it in our just how we act with one another. Those are very specific things that can tell a story.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing I don't know if you guys have it's like as a white male or a white female, we don't have to be uncomfortable. We don't have, if we want to be an ally, you have to push yourself because you don't have to do it. You could just sit here and take your privilege and go on your merry way. Or to be an ally is to actually have to do something and to push yourself out of your comfort zone and go learn or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that? And then I'm going to stop the interview. Yeah. Anything, Derrick?
I mean, thinking just of that perspective is, different races are working hard and fighting hard to be equal, and I have this thought in my head that that time will come, and then I wonder where the the thought of power comes in and the abuse of power, because I mean the white man has showed the abuse of power for so long that if you as a white woman are, you're like, I don't have to go out of my way to do anything, I can just stay in my bubble, do my thing. When does that pop? And when are you then, and all white people, a minority for sake of conversation, and then the power changes? And I don't say, and I don't mean in power like I have power. I don't think I have any power in any way, shape, or form in that aspect. But like, what if it goes further, and it's like, okay, now you don't get to do the things that you've always loved to doing because you're white.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons let's wrap this up, because I feel like we've gone for almost 50 minutes. There's no one's going to be watching this. Let's just, is there anything else you guys want to say?
If you take off your shirt, they'll watch it till the end.
Hey, nobody's recording me, Steven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we're good. You just said something so white male.
I know. I'm so ashamed.
How dare you? Okay, anyway, whatever.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, moving on. This is when you're doing Skypes, this is what you're used to. Somebody taking off their clothes. Okay, anyway, so, so anything else you guys want to say to wrap this up, and then I'm going to stop recording.
If you watched this long, you're just as crazy as we are.
Steven, you have anything else to say? No? Okay, good. It was really, okay.